Yesterday, Boris Johnson put the country on lockdown.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. Because the critical thing we must do to stop the disease spreading between households. That is why people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities as infrequently as possible. One form of exercise a day, for example, a run, walk or cycle, alone or with members of your household. Any medical need to provide care or to help a vulnerable person, and travelling to and from work, but only where this is absolutely necessary and cannot be done from home. That's all.
So I decided today that I'd get my exercise, having a big walk, which is not unusual for me. You know, I walked the entire route of HS2 September, October, to see, you know, the joy that would, you know, greet me knowing that the country is on lockdown, that only essential work is allowed, and HS2 must surely have stopped working. Only one problem with that. HS2 decided that this is essential work, and I've said for a long time that HS2 Ltd is like a rogue organisation in government, and well, yeah, this is pretty much proving it. You know, we've heard a lot of things from them over the last few days and saying, oh, well, we're railway workers, so they're exempt, despite the fact that the train's not going to run for the next 10 years. Say, oh, well, this is a construction project, and as you can see from the wood behind me, we're still a very, very long way from construction. What those blokes over there are doing is they're figuring out how they cut those trees down in nesting season without breaking the law and disturbing nesting birds. And I think they've pretty much come to the conclusion, sod it. You know, there's an injunction on this land which kicks in at 4 PM today, and what's better is that, hey, we've got coronavirus, so the protesters, they've got to stay at home, but us, we can still work, we can still cut down these trees. And you, what? This is Diamond Wood, activity still going on. Nothing much stops these guys. It's Broadwell's Wood, just between Kenilworth and Burton Green. There's a load more of them in the wood as well.
If you don't follow the rules, the police will have the powers to enforce them, including through and dispersing gatherings.
You absolute what? And the worst thing is, well, no, there's lots of bad things about this, but I've spoken to a bloke today at a distance who brought in a truck from Liverpool. This is Kenilworth, near Coventry. So, you know, he was saying he got a 3-hour drive back home. Yesterday, people spoken to contractors from Peterborough. We know they've got contractors in from Swindon, from Preston, from all over the bloody country, and they are almost exclusively, as you would imagine, they're young blokes. The sort of people who, you know, the statistics show us so far at least, and medical wisdom shows us so far at least, who aren't really at risk from dying from Covid-19. But what these people are doing is they are coming into rural communities with a high percentage of elderly residents. See, over that way is Kenilworth. Behind the trees over there, that's Burton Green. Burton Green is a very old place, well, a place with a high proportion of elderly people that has one shop. So if this lot, well, it has one general shop, it has a one stop, in fact it's not even in Burton Green, it's in Tyler Hill, it's that far away, you know, it's that, Burton Green's that smaller place. So if these guys want to go that way to get a butty or a drink or something for dinner, that's the shop that they've got to go to. That's where they've got to go, mixing with a highly elderly population. And these guys, as you can see, as you've seen in the video posted yesterday, have no interest whatsoever in social isolation. The nature of the work means that they cannot be 2 meters apart, and basically They're saying they don't care. And over the last 10 years, one of the stark, absolute travesties with HS2 and why it's so unpopular along the route is that HS2 Ltd have systematically treated the people along the route like crap. And what they are doing now is basically saying, you know what, we don't care about you that much. We are going to try as hard as we can to incubate Covid-19 in your communities and spread it around your elderly population. I'll tell you what, there'll be a lot less people protesting and upset about it once we've killed them all. I am really angry about this. This is an absolute disgrace.
There's 3 of them there together, not exercising social distancing.
Yeah, you tell him that.
To ensure compliance with the government's instruction to stay at home, we will immediately close all shops selling non-essential goods, including clothing and electronic stores, and other premises, including libraries, playgrounds and outdoor gyms and places of worship. We'll stop all gatherings of more than 2 people in public, excluding people you live with.
It's probably a forerunner of it. Yeah.
I think that's more than running around like getting those tickets and fun. Yeah, that's the worst thing about it. That's worse than this fucking virus.
Crackford Grange Road. Yeah, guys putting up more fencing.
Broadwell's compound, Tuesday, 2 in the afternoon.
And why this is happening is this behind me is Broadwell's Wood. This is one of the ancient woodlands along the route of HS2. As I say, an injunction kicks in on this land at 4 o'clock today, Tuesday the 24th of March. I'll be all right here because this is a public footpath, but everything over that way, and Birch's Wood over there, and Crackley Wood that you can't see, and the camp at Crackley Wood, which has moved, and that's something else. You know, there is a camp at Crackley Wood, it's moved, there are people who are permanent residents in that camp, it is not on HS2's land, and they're bloody walking through it without any care whatsoever. They're walking through a campsite that is effectively isolated and, you know, safe in itself, and they're just traipsing through it like they own the place, and worse than that, they don't even own the place. It's someone else's land now, and they simply do not care.
And it's about 1 o'clock on Tuesday, and there is lots of work going on here, lots of diggers around doing whatever diggers do. No sign of any stopping work here.
There you are.
Got a right nice settle there, it's alright.
Compound at Waste Lane in Balsall Common is still very much functioning. There's tipper trucks, there's diggers.
And why they do not care is because they are desperate to get those woods down in April. There are nesting birds in there. It is illegal to disturb nesting birds. They have signalled their clear intent to take down those trees in April. The RSPB have very clearly said that they want the public to report those crimes. And HS2 Ltd are rubbing their hands with glee because they say not only have they got an injunction now to stop people being able to report those crimes, but the quarantine with Covid-19, the lockdown, means that no one can be anywhere near there, but they can still cut down the trees and stick those birds in the wood chipper. And if you don't believe me, that's exactly what they did last year at New Year's covert. And they are desperate to get those trees down in April, because if they don't, they'll have to wait for September, because for some reason, even though nesting birds and bats are both protected, they seem to only be bothered about the fact that bats are protected, and once the bats start roosting and you've got nurseries with bats, then they'll stop work. And this is an absolute disgrace.
You should not be in there cutting those trees. I've got a map from the wildlife officer. He was here on Friday. You are now guilty of a wildlife crime. You should not be doing that. That was wildlife crime. I have a map from the wildlife officer. I've got an email on my phone. You should not be in there touching that. You know that. Where's your ecologist? Matt, come here. Don't run away. That's the ecologist running away. Come and have a conversation, please. Come and have a conversation. The wildlife officer has given me a map and diagrams of where there are birds nesting in there.
HS2, as I've said for a long time, is a rogue organisation at the heart of government, and they simply do not care. This work has to stop, and it has to stop now. N-O-W. Now!
But at present, there are just no easy options. The way ahead is hard, and it is still true that many lives will, sadly, be lost.